Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be looking at a bunch of Necronomicons. I'm really excited about one of them, if you saw by the title of the video. Screen Accurate Lineage cover. That is a cover pulled from a mold of a stunt book that was from production that we actually sourced and know who pulled the cover and identified it. So that was a commission I was really happy to get my hands on and build for the customer. So I'd like to show you what I did. Let's cue the intro.
Behold, my stuff.
So, most notably, I am known for this. This is a customer's order going out that is the Ash versus Evil Dead Necronomicon, and it is a beautiful sculpt by CB Studios. We worked together making sure all the details are accurate, including how many pins I needed for the stitches, where the stitches went, how far up the cover they went. Now, granted, it's not consistent in the show, we found out. So the auction from VIP was super helpful in identifying how we wanted to make our accurate version. There's dust floating around here. If you are interested in picking one up, there's one live in the Prop Store auction right now. It's an SFX book, which means it is not a full book. It's for the effects. The mouth is cut open. But you can own a piece of screen-used Necronomicon. They're estimating it's going to go for between 20 and 30,000 pounds. Good luck with that. So this is pretty much all I've been building. I wasn't really doing Evil Dead 2 Necronomicons because Tom Sullivan asked me not to. I've said that on this page a bunch of times. He hit me up and he was like, hey, don't sell my stuff. I own this. Well, as you guys know, Tom lost the copyrights, and then Trick or Treat Studios put out the Evil Dead 2 book. And then a couple people have hit me up and said, like, they want an accurate book, and I haven't been really wanting to flat out offer books, but I have been offering conversions for people. If you want me to convert your book, I'll do it. So up until very, very recently, this was the best you could get. So this is a Tom Sullivan Trick or Treat Studios V1. And this was a huge cover. It was oversized based on his look of the Evil Dead 2 cover, which is his most famous cover. And what I did was I recovered a Tots V2, which is the one that has the pages, and repainted this cover and cut it down so that it fits that size. And then I float binded and mounted in my own file, which was designed to completely recreate, with 98% accuracy-ish, Tom Sullivan's Evil Dead 2 animatic pages, which also appear in Army of Darkness. The weathering is heavier than it appears in the animatic, but everybody I make these for wants it more fucked up than the actual screen accuracy, so I kind of cave on them. These are accurate. Some of you have seen this sequence attempted to be recreated by people like Morsoth, for example, where they got a few pages wrong and a few details wrong. For the most part, it's pretty close. And actually, Tots' order wasn't too far off. It just required a lot of text pages that were not there. Well, we recovered most of the text pages. However, some were only partially revealed to us, and therefore some of the text is filler. Like, for example, we see this much of the text, so we know that is accurate, and then the rest I just kind of filled in. That's why I say it's like 98% accurate. We don't really know for a fact what the other side of this page looks like because we've never seen it, but based on his usual work, I always assume it's this page. That's why it's the front of every Necronomicon I do, with the exception of Evil Dead 1, because we do know that one, and it's a version of this, just a little different. And then we don't know what the real back page looks like, and so I just picked a random page that I like to make a back, and that's my file. That file, again, is free, or at least it will be free at the time of this video. It is not free for the simple reason that myself and John Thomas have been flooded with orders to convert a new book that Monster Collector has put out. So let me show you that. This is the Monster Collector's cover. Now, what's the difference between Monster Collector and other people who sell? Most of Monster Collector's items are from Tom Sullivan. There was a relationship there. As Tom got away from Evil Dead, most of his stuff passed to Monster Collector, and now it's up. The Lineage dagger, which was part of Tom's museum, not exactly screen accurate anymore because he's rebuilt it so many times, but it's still the one you would see when you go see Tom Sullivan. And so on and so forth. And then one thing that came into Monster Collector's possession was a stunt book. That was a pull from the mold of production, of which there is one, and this is that book. Now, he wanted pages put in that book. He didn't want a stunt book. He wanted a full-blown book, and he hit me up, and he was like, I need this to be a book, and I said, well, I'm not touching the real cover. You mold that cover and put flaps on it so that I can do it proper, but we're not messing with the production used one. Just put that in lock and key somewhere. And that's exactly what he did. And what we resulted in was this. And so this is what's been circulating online, and people are going, oh, well, that's not from production because it's not the correct mold. Why do they say that? Because the original, believe it or not, you see this big crease down the back. Well, the reason it looks like that is because originally, the original sculpt was built like a staircase. The spine had a 90-degree bend in it so that it went like this. That was the original. Why they did that, I have no idea. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that was what that was, which all the more reason why, if you're going to remold it flat. And do it proper. And these flaps were added by Monster Collector for me so that I could do the conversion easier and not have to charge $900 million to putz around with liquid latex and cardboard and actually build it. So what do? Same thing I always do. I plasti dip the crap out of it, I build an innard for it, and I turn it into a book. And so now, this is the very first time this cover has ever had pages put in it since 1984. Which is kind of cool when you think about it. And I tried to do it justice. So my goal was, again, the animatic sequence, very clean, very bleached looking pages because they were done right then and there. And it's when you see the book as it's being inked and whatnot. So it's very clean. But people wanted a book that just felt lived in and handled. And the cool thing was Monster Collector was just sort of like, dude, do whatever. Just, I trust you. Which is just the greatest thing to hear from somebody when you're dealing with something this serious. And so, really what I did was, I did it very, very minimal at first, just dusting, speckling, general aging of the page. And then I ran it through some, my peanut gallery, and I asked them, well, what do you think? And everyone was like, mess it up more. And I'm like, I can't, it's just gonna not look right. But at the end of the day, we went a little dirtier. So, some of the cool features of redoing this artwork was trying to find these pages. These were the things you can't really track down. Most of this artwork you could find all over the internet. Juan from Elder Props has done versions of them. Of course, mine has all accurate text on it. Tots did actually a great job with some of their artwork. So if you do want to pick up a Tots V2, it's licensed. I highly recommend it. It's a good book. And like I said, you can recover it with any cover you want. Or you can just sculpt over it like Fred Groovy Chainsaws did and make a beautiful ED2 book. The reason that I'm doing this is because they wanted a really accurate set of innards. They wanted as close to what could be like a screen use thing as you can get. So for example, this page for me, these are accurate to Evil Dead 2 animatic. These are not the Evil Dead 1 version, which is what you see in the Tots book. So that's not a correct page. That had to be redone. And then again, a lot of these text pages. And then as we go through, we find, a lot of the common artwork, which we all know. This is a famous one. Everybody knows this one. This has appeared in almost every Necronomicon he's ever done. I believe everyone, actually. This is an interesting page because this is not the way it appears in the screen used Necronomicon. Now, Al, what do you mean by that? I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to show you. So, a lot of people have said, well, Al, the Lost pages are colored. The Hero of the Sky, Ash has a blue shirt and white pants. How come the pages are all red and inked in blood, but then there's color? Fuck if I know. I never understood that. So what happened was Tom did the first book, Evil Dead 1, and it just was, pencil, watercolor. It was very cool. It kind of had a weird charm to it that I always loved. When he did Evil Dead 2, he kind of did the same approach, but he used a lot of watercolor and a lot of black washing. And he ended up really wrecking the pages to the point where he had to go back over with red ink or red marker to highlight the text so you could see it again. And what ended up looking, it was almost cartoon-like. And so what you ended up with was something that looked like this. Now, immediately, you'll notice this artwork. Evil Ed has pupils in his eyes. The mouth has been changed, and Ash's teeth are closed here. So again, a little different, and you can see I really went over the red. And I tried to match what you saw in Tom's museum as best I could. But I tell you, no lie, this is kind of like what was inside the book while filming. So when you compare that to this, notice Ash's mouth is open. So again, and these were pages and edits that I worked on with John Thomas, because he wants to do conversions in what he feels the onset book would have looked like, which is fine. And again, you can see there's a huge difference in the text and everything. To me, this looks a little cartoony. To me, this is something that, and I'm not saying I won't make one for myself at some point or use these. I'm just saying this removes further and further and further from something that could be realistically a Necronomicon, whereas the animatic felt more serious, felt more professional, felt like something that I was comfortable with. So I did take some inspiration, and there is some very subtle mildewing and water damage in the book, but not to the extent that you see that hero book in. And that's on purpose. It literally, again, the goal is to just show just a wee bit of age and usage in the book. And so subtlety is what you get when you make, 30 some odd books in your lifetime, and you start to really understand that your first couple of books are always miserably destroyed, and then you get this nice subtle palette of weathering and aging as you do more research, understand how old books look. I mean, I've got books in here from the 1800s and the 1700s just as study points, just so I could see how they aged over time, and which I've shown on this channel. So for me, going back, looking at old Bibles, looking at old Qurans, looking at old Torahs, parchments, things like that, stuff on museums, the Dead Sea Scrolls and recoveries from Alexandria and things like that, or what they supposed was recovered from Alexandria. That's all stuff that influences how I do weathering to make it realistic, because my goal is to make a book that looks like it could be a real book. So I took this and did what I felt was the animatic pages with respected aging in it, because again, bound in human flesh, inked in blood, which means we're not going to have yellow hair and blue eyes. So as much as I respect Tom for what he did, it's okay for me to say I don't like this and I'm not going to reproduce this. But John absolutely wants to reproduce it. So if you want to convert your Tots book, or you want to convert a cover of your own purchase into a hero style Evil Dead 2 set of pages that has this sequence but color in it, hit John Thomas up. He'll be happy to do that conversion for you. A file has been sized for him that is already sized to the Tots book, and it can be shrunk or raised to fit pretty much almost any book as long as the proportions are fairly square. So what does this look like? If you do a Tots 2 conversion, which is what this is, with a Tots 1 cover, you get a kind of big giant square, whereas the screen accurate one, much smaller. Which is a little surprising, but the more I hold this, the more this feels right. I'm going to be sad to put it in the mail and send it back to Monster Collector, but I couldn't be happier putting it back in their hands. They've been a great help to the community. I have pieces from the Evil Dead 2 set in my home from Monster Collector, so I'm really, really happy to have been able to be the first person trusted to work on this for them, and that this is their personal copy. So you will get this in the mail. I promise I'm not going to be sleeping with it anymore. I'm really excited about converting one for myself. Thank you. And like I said, it was great to use those pages, which I had originally developed for Tots conversions, into an actual Lineage cover. That's just so cool. And again, this cover, paint job, meant very much to look like what you see on screen. Has that gray, that very matted sort of look. Little bit of highlights, because I do like my stuff to be photogenic. This is meant to look exactly like the pulls we saw Tom have and what his screen accurate book is, but it's really accurate to the stunt book that was shown to me. That paint job, the ones that he had on display in museum, I tried to emulate and just get as much of his sculpt visible as possible. I really wanted people to, or at least I wanted Monster Collector to see what Tom did. And the more you look at this sculpt, the more you realize this is a beautiful sculpture. It's not wonky, it's not goofy at all. It's beautiful. There's so much there. And with the original paint job, you just can't see it. So I did a paint job that I feel honors the original, but really shows you what you've got.
Show me what you got. Show me what you got. I want to see what you got.
So, again, if you want to convert your Tots book, if you could get your hands on a Sully Tots ED2, they make a great conversion once you cut the size down. I know John's currently doing one right now with the colored pages, and I know it's going to come out beautiful. This is my personal one that I did for myself, and I was really happy with it. It kind of had that screen-used look to it, You can see that it had a seam. I did my best to hide that, but there's only so much you can do with thick-ass latex like this. And overall, I'm really happy with this book, but now that this exists, I can't imagine I'll be holding on to this too much longer. I'll probably make this available to my community online and at the Knights of Samaria. And this right here is going to be the new standard, the only standard in Evil Dead 2 Necronomicon. And I got to tell you, I'm so happy that I got to work on this. And I hope that you're happy with what I did for it, for you. And really, I'm just glad that I get to share it with the community. I know for a fact that Brett's Groovy Chainsaws is going to be breaking down some of the details about all this. Like I said, I don't sell Evil Dead 2 Necronomicons. I simply am an artist for hire, and I can do a conversion project of your private property for you. If you want that, you can contact me and ask me about it, but I got to tell you, I'm not doing anything now for a while. So this is something that, again, I'm not pursuing. If you want this kind of a conversion, it's just not really something that I want to do, so I won't. There are people doing it, so I suggest hitting them up. But for me, I was just so thrilled to do one of these. And I got to tell you, if for any part of the universe you could get your hands on one of these covers, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't. This is a chance to own a Lineage piece of Evil Dead 2 history 40 years later. The fact that this never existed until now is it shouldn't, but it does. And so if you had a chance to get one from Monster Collectors, Mazel Tov, congratulations. I hope you do well with it. The fact that I got the first one, I got a chance in its creation. I was suggesting modifications to make this an easy conversion, and he did that, and then he chose to make that available, is really cool. And I'm really happy that I got to do it, and that I was the first one. And I'll always get to say that, no matter how many people make great versions of this, and I'm sure we're going to see some awesome ones, I made the first one. And that's just really cool, and I like that. I'm going to say that forever. I did the first one. I did his. I got mine before anybody else got theirs. I got the first one. By the time I've posted this video, chances are you've seen this and other people have done videos on it because they wanted to be first and get that information out there. Happy to wait and let them do it. Like I said, I don't care when my video goes up because I know I was first. And I got it first. And I did book one. And if you don't have this, get this. If not, build this. Because, hey, if you can't buy it, build it.